A staggering 500 people leave Northern Ireland every week in search of work abroad. We follow 3 families as they embark on the biggest move of their lives.
I think I was hoping that he would change his mind and not go.
Through the highs and the lows, the excitement and the fears, the tears and the heartache.
This is possibly the last time I'll ever see my mum.
And the final goodbyes.
I graduated university in a master's degree in urban planning and property development. Wasn't many jobs happening.
Like so many other Northern Irish graduates, Frank Boyd has struggled to get a foot on the career ladder and is back home with his parents, just outside Toome.
Lucky for me, I always had the family business to fall back on. I don't know honestly what I'd be doing if this place wasn't here. I've sort of worked here most of my life. I always enjoyed the work, but I never really saw myself going into the business like my brothers, maybe taking over the shop. I always felt that I always wanted to do something else, go out and find my own way.
Over recent years, youth unemployment has rocketed. Frank's girlfriend Claire has found it difficult to get a steady job, but she too is now working at the Boyd's family shop.
Well, Claire sort of in the same boat now. She's done a lot of jobs up in Belfast, but it was mostly sales related jobs, a lot of long hours.
Well, the shop's been running for years. It's Frank's dad's business. It's been renovated just last year. It's whenever I started. I've been working here ever since, doing bits in the till and in the office, and sort of just been working here full time for about a year and a half. So
the thought of travelling always sort of appealed to me, but I never really done anything about it. I seen everybody else was leaving, and I thought I want to see what this is like as well. So I talked to Claire and asked what she wanted to do, and then we sort of decided that we both would be up for going somewhere to see what it was like.
Always in the back of my head, I've wanted to go away. I never thought New Zealand at the start. It was sort of more Frank's idea at the start. He was really determined once he finished university, he wanted to go somewhere. He thought maybe there was nothing here, and I was a bit apprehensive because I didn't know if I wanted to do teaching, where to go.
I would basically want to see what the market's like out there, especially for jobs in my degree. See what it's like just to live in a whole different country, just try and make it on my own basically.
There's a lot of friends that have been in different places and maybe going for the year and then coming back and hoping to find permanent jobs here, but I like the idea of maybe settling somewhere else.
Are you two guys going today? Not too bad.
They say I might as well do it when I have the opportunity and when I can. And that's a lot with the customers I have in here. They're basically saying go try it and see what it's like, and if you enjoy it, stick at it.
I come from a really big family, and they were sort of apprehensive because no one else has moved away before. Mummy just said to me, if I don't do it now, I may never do it. I better do it now when I'm young and see as much of the world as I can.
When Dane Barr qualified as a barrister, he thought he had a career for life. But after practicing for 3 years, work began to dry up. Unable to meet his annual barrister fees, Dane decided he'd have to find another job. After dozens of failed applications, he ended up working in a local supermarket.
I'm just going to call into my old work here and pick up some of my holiday pay. I ended up working in that grocery shop for 7 months because unfortunately I wasn't able to get anything more substantial. They told me then that they were umming and ahhing about hiring me because they thought, well, why does somebody with qualifications like this want to work here? I would much prefer to work than to sit back and say, oh, well, that's beneath me. All the way through school, you're told, go to university, get a degree, get a good job. You're told graduates earn so much more. And then you come out of university with a whole load of student debt and find out that isn't the case.
Unable to pay the rent on his flat in Belfast, Dane was forced to move back in with his mum in Ballygowan.
A lot of my life from the last sort of 7 years has been rather unceremoniously dumped. Everything's in boxes. I never expected to be back here again once I moved out, and once I realised I could afford to remain outside of my parents' house after I finished being a student. I thought, this is great, this is it, this is how it works. I expected at this point in my life maybe to have a down payment ready for a house.
While those at the top of the legal profession here can command six-figure salaries, for young barristers, getting established is a long, hard slog for very little money.
Another thing I won't be taking away with me is my wig, which would be about as much use to me out there as it has been to me here in the last year. That's one of the tools of my former trade.
I always had the feeling that really what Dane wanted to do was ultimately be a judge, because Dane didn't like whenever I set rules for him.
Dane is very close with Sister Kelsey and Mum Carolyn. They've loved having him back in the house, but it's something they had never expected to happen.
When he came home, I was sad for him. He did think that he was only going to be here for a few months. He was still very optimistic that he would find a career maybe in the legal field, or maybe somewhere else, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
I started sort of applying for jobs while I was still practicing, just because I knew the way things were heading, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to get out of this at some point. And eventually I just decided, like, I'm going to have to leave and try somewhere entirely different. I'm going to Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur, which is, by all accounts, weathering the financial storm.
I feel it's very sad that all these very well educated people, full of promise, have to actually go to another country to use their talents, because I think that once they leave, it's highly unlikely they'll come back.
Recent years have seen Australian companies coming to Ireland and the UK to recruit skilled workers. Lurgan-based Brendan Rafferty has accepted a 4-year contract to drive buses in Melbourne. He now has 5 weeks to get his family ready to move.
I've been a bus driver now it'll be 10 years in May. When I finished university, I was working in a design studio for about 3 years, and of all the office jobs there is, I would say it's probably one of the more interesting ones. But even at that, it really wasn't for me. You're either put out for an office job or you're not, and I'm not. TransLink have been really, really good to me. They've given me a year out, which means I can take a year career break. If I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I probably wouldn't have been going to Australia.
Although her work has allowed her to travel far and wide, Brendan's wife Sheila has always lived in Lurgan. Now she's giving up the job she loves for a new life far from her closest family and friends.
An awful lot of people have come in and said, I can't believe I've just heard, just people who would know my family or just know that I'm going, and wishing me the best and, go for it and everything. So it's only been positive things. And they always say, you could always come home. They always end up by saying that, which is true. You can always come home if it doesn't work out. So we'll have to just be brave and just take that plunge. We can only make up our minds when we're there.
On Google Maps.
Brendan and Sheila are trying their best to convince their children, Hannah and Adam, that the move to Australia is for the best. Their future prospects are one of the main reasons for the family leaving.
We've got the mobile home. It's like a campsite, and we've booked 4 weeks. And then hopefully in those 4 weeks we'll get the home sorted out, the car sorted out, the school sorted out.
The kids is a big concern. Trying to sell it to the kids. So obviously if they meet all their kids over there from here, it's going to break the fall of it. Adam has taken quite a lot of persuasion to get him into the mindset of actually going over here. In fact, I think he was dreading the idea of it from the start.
At their age, their world is their friends. That's what they care about most in the world. They come in from school, they go straight onto their computer games, talking to their friends. They're just at that age where everything is around their friends, but we're sort of assuring them that they will still have friends. Initially, Adam was very, very apprehensive. He literally burst out into tears. The thought of it scared him, and his reaction really, to us sort of went, oh my goodness, we weren't expecting it to be that bad.
I was very nervous. I was very snapped, so it was. And I was like, what? I got there. I was just a big surprise, so it was.
Whereas Hannah, initially she just thought this was going to be great, this is great news, you know, but it's the opposite with her, you know, as the times went on she's got a little bit more worried and things like that there.
I'm a wee bit sad and leaving my friends and family. Like, they've all cared for me. I'll miss everyone, like, but I'll be alright.
They're prepared to give it a go. We've told them that, you know, the things that we'll be doing, we're going to be doing it all together. They are going to find new friends when they start school. There's Scoresby, that's the first school we looked at, Scoresby Primary School. They will have no problems, you know. We're going to make sure that they're going to have a ball when they arrive. The good thing is at this time of year when we are going to be there, it is the summertime, the kids are all off school, so we're hoping that there will be other families and other kids at the campsite and they'll have fun, you know, meet friends even just straight away. They've only ever known this house, this street, this town. They've never lived anywhere other than this house, so yeah, I can understand it, but we're giving them a big opportunity and, you know, we keep telling them that, and we've also said to them if it doesn't work out, if we don't like it, if we don't fit in, if it's not for us, we'll come home.
Dane is out with his uncles, sister and father David. Although his parents are separated, the family have always remained close.
There we go. Right, you're around again then. We had a sort of like a group hug almost earlier on this evening before we came out, and that started the waterworks going, and understandably so. It's the small things I think that I will miss most, where I was going up and he and I were going across the fields to do a bit of hunting and things, and also just generally to walk about the fields and to pick up things from the ground and make things with them. Simple things like that I'll miss quite a lot.
I've grown up here and it's something I'm going to miss, you know, the scenery that I'm used to and the change of seasons. When I was younger, I would be, you know, just out running across the fields and just into woodlands, and there used to be a bog, sort of bogland, marshland. I used to go pick up bog oak trees which have died and fallen into the bog and been preserved over thousands of years, and it makes it a really nice wood to work with for carving, for making things like jewellery and sculpture. Something really Irish as well. It's something that really grounds you to the country that you're from and, you know, the area that you're from.
In Toome, Frank and Claire's departure is only a few days away. The idea of a permanent move is only just dawning on the Boyd family. Frank's mum, Kathleen, is trying her best to be supportive.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel that if this is not what he wants to do at the shop, working there, it wouldn't be fair to keep him there. I'm pleased that they're going for them to see a bit of the world, but I would like to think they wouldn't settle there, because that would be too far away. If they even had went to Canada or near home, it would have been different.
You have to let them go and try and see how the thing works out. I'm thinking that I hope it doesn't work out for him, and I'll come back here, but probably he's thinking different.
I think a lot of the family are sort of going on the idea that I'm just going for the year and coming home. I haven't really had the heart to tell them that if it goes well, I could stay out there longer.
It's their last week at home, and both Frank and Claire are starting to feel a little anxious.
The map of the area.
I'm nervous, but I don't know. I think it's just going to be a shock more than anything.
It's realising it's not a holiday. I think we're actually going out to stay there for a year, maybe longer. I think it's worrying me is not being able to find the job and having to come back, and having, because we've been telling everybody around here, oh, we're going, and then I don't want to come back in a couple of weeks and say what went wrong. So I think that's my biggest fear. I think the people out there have got a lot more opportunities basically than what they have here. I just hope the same opportunities are there for us, you know. So
dream would be a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
I've sort of worked every Saturday from when I was about 13, so the last 10 years. So would love a 9-to-5 job, Monday to Friday.
Well, might not be that lucky, but sort of just take it as it comes, you know.
Anything.
So I've been stacking drinks nearly every day for a year and a half now, and I think I've taken that as far as I can go with that, you know. So
with departure now only 2 days away, Dane is moving the last of his belongings to his dad's house in Cumber.
I'm very proud of him for making such a bold decision. I know I couldn't have done it at that age, but he's being very brave about that. He's travelling along on his own. I feel very hopeful that he will be able to make it and that someday he'll come back.
I don't know how we're going to get these bigger ones up here, Dad.
He's not just a great son, Dane. He's a great friend of mine, and I'll certainly miss watching rugby with him and having a pint with him, having a few pints with him. This was drawn about 2 years ago. It'll always hang on the wall, and to remind me of him when he's away, you know.
In Lurgan, Brendan is spending time with son Adam to find out how he's feeling about the move to Australia. Adam has been struggling with the idea ever since Brendan was offered a job there.
That was the best one.
Yep. When I first got the email for about the whole Australia thing, you didn't really want to do it?
Yeah.
Was the fact that you're going to have to make new friends the biggest problem for you?
I just go up and miss my old friends and family. If I could go and I could bring 5 friends with me, I'd really, really want to go.
Is that the way you still think?
Well, you kind of convinced me into it. You did?
Did I?
Yeah. It looks very good. I looked it up on YouTube and there's lots of like beaches and they're like really long and then there's like... Oh!
My biggest worry would be my kids, definitely. Because regardless of how much money you're going to earn or what the climate is, everybody knows what Australia is about, but my kids' happiness is by far the most important thing ever. I think they'll be okay.
Tonight's just basically our last night out with friends. We're going in 2 days' time, so it's probably just the last chance. We're going to see everybody before we go.
I've never been away at a Christmas before. I'm going with family.
It'll only be the wife and me in the house ourselves at Christmas, so bit of a change.
Oh, I'll miss them terrible, I would think, and especially Christmas.
For Claire's parents, Essie and Mick, it's the first time one of their 9 children will be living so far from home, and for such a long time.
Christmas time, that's the time I like to see them all about. It's not really a good time to go away, but just at the mouth of Christmas, it's even worse, I think.
It's been a bit mental. It's been very, very busy trying to sort everything out. I didn't really give myself a lot of time between booking my flights and having to go. Bitten off a little bit more than I can chew, I think, in terms of having to get everything sorted. It all is dependent, really, on if I'm able to get a job out there. I mean, as I say, I'm not going out to a particular job, so it's a case of, I know I've got enough saved up, I think, to last me maybe 4 or 5 months, but hopefully I'll be able to get employment a lot more quickly than that. The hardest thing to leave behind is going to be my friends and family, really. A lot of the friends that I have, I've known since I was in school.
It's not ideal, but I know exactly why you're doing it. Like, it's things here with jobs has been terrible. Like, it's been 3 years of just struggling to get any sort of career going.
Obviously, our friendships are going to last. We don't want that to hold us back from doing what you want to do, and it's not going to split us up. And like I said, things like Facebook keep us in contact. But like, you know, we just go over and see them, and it'll be like that.
It's Claire's final night, and the family have gathered to say their farewells. Among them are sisters Melanie, Lisa and Jana. Claire's parents have been worrying about her leaving for weeks now, and the thought of her going hasn't got any easier.
Be careful. It's a terrible state of affairs that young ones have to go away and split families up, and the young one maybe doesn't realise it, but when they're leaving their parents or even grandparents, and that could be the last they'll see of them. I think Claire will miss the rest of the family and the rest of the family will miss her because they were close, like, you know.
The three young girls are very close.
They're very close.
The three youngest, and they are very close.
I find it really weird that I wouldn't be living the rest of my life where she's just there, but I'd be happy for her if that's what she wanted to do, and I'd be happy knowing that she went to such lengths to go and get a job and things, and it worked out well. It'd be really strange, like me growing up and having children, her having a family maybe, and they're not going to know each other because they're just cousins, but they live on the other side of the world. It would be strange.
For the future, I would really like her to be able to get work in Ireland or England or somewhere like that where she'd be
near home.
Near home. Maybe we won't ever see Claire again. You know, that's what's really.
It's just sort of dawned on me that I'm going away. It's starting to feel real. Like everybody come to say goodbye and it's like the final pack and stuff. I'm only realising like this is it. I'm going now. You know, when you live in a small town, you sort of know everybody and everyone knows you, and it's that kind of sense of community. But maybe going somewhere. Sorry.
This is very strange for me because I've never lived away from home. I moved out of my mum's house to come straight to my own house, so I don't know what it's like to be somewhere, you know, without family. Left my work, so definitely no looking back now. It has to go forward now. But bon voyage, Sheila, we'll miss you. Sometimes it's very hard to read this. We'll really miss you, but think you're making the right move. Many thanks for all the help you have been since I started here in Lurgan. My friend, my confidant for over 20 years. Been through so much together. Who will I confide in now? Will miss you, love, Marie. I can't really read this card.
The Rafferty family leave for Melbourne, Australia in the morning. The car has been sold and their tenants are ready to move in. Brendan is finding leaving the family home more difficult than he'd imagined.
Wash machine, tumble dryer, microwave oven. The family who's going to be renting the house out, they have to come down and sign this tenancy agreement. So I have to do an inventory, which I'm going to write out. I never anticipated that this house has a personality. I look at the house now like as a part of the family, and to see it empty now, it was. Anybody who's thinking of doing this here, don't think that you're just going to walk away from a house and it's going to be easy, because your house really is a big, big part of your life.
It's 1 a.m. in Belfast, and Dane is taking the bus to Dublin Airport.
It's a bit unreal at the minute to me. I think it just seems a bit surreal, in the sense that, you know, it's so close to being going now, but at the same time, it seems more like a dream rather than a reality to me.
I feel I haven't been doing very well at all today.
I think what it is I'm more worried for you two.
I think somewhere in the back of my mind I was hoping that he would change his mind.
Yeah.
And not go. But I know he's going to be fine. It's the best thing for him, and it'll be an adventure, and he's always got us to come home to.
This last couple of days he has been a bit emotional, I think.
Yeah.
But he's good at hiding it. You know, he's very good at hiding it.
I told Kelsey she didn't think she's ever going to go anywhere. I just couldn't lose both of them.
I don't know what the future holds for me, really. I would like to come back. I've always sort of seen myself having a life here, but it really all depends on what the state of the economy is, whether there's something worth coming back to, whether I'll be able to get a job. I could end up staying in Malaysia, but I'd like to come back to Ireland. I mean, it's a beautiful country.
It's also an early start for the families in Toom, as Frank and Claire get ready to leave for the airport.
I know, like, I will have bad days when I'm there, but I think the good's going to outweigh the bad. Feeling good-ish.
See you later. I will. Alright.
Especially now in the past week or so, I've been starting to feel the nerves a lot.
See you in a month.
I know if things go wrong, there's always the shop here, but I just want to give it a try before I decide what to do with the rest of my life.
I just think their age is a great opportunity. I hope they do well and get work, but I hope they don't just get a permanent job all the same.
See you later.
I'm just trying really hard not to cry because I know if I start, I'll not stop for hours. It still hasn't sunk in yet. Probably like 2 hours during the flight, we're like, oh no, what are we doing?
The Raffertys are spending their last night in an airport hotel. This is where they'll say their goodbyes to those dearest to them.
Right, Sheila. All right. Oh, good luck, Sheila. I hope you have a nice day.
Oh, well, Shirley.
I'd drop us a wee postcard.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I only have the one sister and she was very devastated by it. And I sort of reassured her, don't think of it as being forever, just think of it as being for now.
I love you. I love you too.
How was it? You know what I'll be? No worship, don't you?
I know, I love you too, but all right, like.
When I watched my mum leaving the car park, and I remember just thinking, this is possibly the last time I'll ever see my mum, because she's in her 70s and I don't know what's going to happen over here. Can't do it.
Well, it says here boarding time 07:55 and gate number 410. I'm just so glad now that we're checked in and we're actually on the flight now, so the rest is just up to fate.
As the recession drags on, there seems little chance of a let-up in the number of people emigrating. More disillusioned youth heading overseas, more tearful goodbyes, and more families separated by oceans, all searching for a better future on distant shores.
I'm back now after a month. We always said from the start, if any one of us didn't like it, we would come home. As it turned out, there was two of us, my son and me. Sheila would still be there. I'm still in the doghouse with my wife regarding that end of it. The isolation in Australia for us was immense. I didn't anticipate it, and I should have. It is the hardest thing you'll ever do, and nobody should make that decision lightly. And seriously think about what you have here before you go as well. Sometimes I've realised there's an awful lot of things I've taken for granted, and it's only when you're away you realise that. You have to be 100% absolutely positive that you want to do this like nothing else, and I wasn't.
That was the last in the series. However, all 3 programmes are available on the BBC iPlayer if you fancy a catch-up.